I believe we neglected to call the roll as to who is here, who is not.
You've been doing that? Probably you've been taking it.
Yeah, but I can call it real quick if you
Yeah,
like.
please do.
Boyd Barr.
Here.
Richie Hunt.
Here.
Randy Gannon.
Here.
Lacey Buchanan. Carolyn Jennings. Tricia Wild.
Here.
That's our current membership.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Lizzie Buchanan is absent.
So do you have a recommendation?
Yes, recommend approval. And just so you know, any lots that are not served by public water must be at least 2 acres in size. These are 2.78, so they do comply with our requirements.
Move to approve the final subdivision plat. This property located on Lawrence Silicon Road, Jacob's Way, HP Construction Division.
Motion to approve. Do you hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second, any further discussion? Fair to say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I need to sign it.
Yes, you do.
These all taken care of.
Do you guys keep a copy of it or just one out recorded?
What's the question, Stephen?
Do you
Keep a
guys
copy.
need to keep a copy of it or?
You-
I just
I have
one
I
out
have a digital
recorded?
copy. Yep, take them to the registered deeds.
You all here? Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item number 5, which is consideration of incorporating building codes into zoning resolution.
What's that tomorrow? I am proposing to amend the zoning resolution to incorporate building codes into the purview of the planning commission. Reason for that is not for technical reasons. The overriding reason is there is no legislative or community oversight over the building process unless it gets incorporated into the zoning resolution. While I'm fully capable of making the decisions and making it, and going the way I've gone, I do not feel particularly comfortable doing it on my own. I'd like to have an overview of the planning commission as it changes to the way the county is issuing and administering, enforcing building codes. Had a slide, PowerPoint presentation, but it will suffice to say that in the support materials you've received, sections of the zoning resolution outlined in red of the changes I'm proposing. Hopefully, that's what I've been reviewed. There are a couple that I would like to bring specifically to your attention. If you're looking at this document,
Under supporting materials.
under supporting materials, you should find this, there you go. Couple of things I would like to point out specifically. page 10, the definition of dwelling or dwelling unit, item 4, single-family residence is defined as a detached building designed for or used exclusively for residential purposes. I'm proposing that now read, a single-family residence is a detached, on-site constructed frame building designed for and used exclusively for residential purposes by one family. The difference being, I can issue a building permit for building to be built on site. I have no, there are no building permit requirements for a home coming on site because it's inspected in the factory. It's manufactured. I have no jurisdiction over a tiny home if it's a single chassis vehicle that's brought on site. That doesn't require a building permit. It requires a special exception. That's a separate issue. So by improving the definition of single-family residence, by making it an on-site constructed frame building, it specifically identifies what we euphemistically call traditional construction, conventional construction. Very precisely, it would help us to administer building permits. If there's any questions about that, I'd be happy to try and answer them. The only other things of great importance to this amendment are the inclusion of, on page 39, my phone's going off. Can you hear me? Page 39, we have the fee schedule. This is the fee schedule as identified by the State Fire Marshal's Office for a building permit. In the process of taking over the building permits for the county, we're using the exact same fee schedule. I'm introducing that fee schedule into the zoning resolution so that it's part of the fee schedule for all of the other fees that we charge. On page 38. So all of the schedule of fees, all the things that we provide for the county are enumerated. I'm adding the fees for the building permits, which is the same fee schedule as the state farm. Incorporating into the zoning resolution as part of the fee schedule.
Say what date does that begin? Did you say October what?
October 16th,
16th.
Monday. Now, this amendment, if it's approved by the planning commission, recommended to Board of Commissioners, that presentation of the Board of Commissioners will take place after the 16th. This is all of the changes recommended by this zoning resolution. We have already met the requirements for the state fire marshal. Building permit process, well, we've met their requirements. We haven't received their official authorization, but I have, as recently as this morning, had a conversation with the state, and that is forthcoming. So it will take place on the 16th, even though we're going to amend this document. Of the recommended tonight, it will be for the plan, Board of Directors, the Board of Commissioners, the first November. So
November 2nd.
November 2nd. So, while this, and I can administer the state county fire building permit process as required by the state. I wanted for the planning commission and the zoning resolution to back me up in how we administer the permit process.
Okay. Anything else, David, on this item?
The last thing I want to say is that in Article 13, the building codes and compliance, International Residential Code and International Energy Conservation Code are referenced in the zoning resolution as being requiring the most current adoption of building codes as adopted by the Board of Commissioners. The reason I've incorporated it into the zoning resolution is that we have to keep zoning codes current within 7 years. We are allowed, like when we adopted 2018, we have seven years to 2018 to use those codes. At the end of 7 years, we have to adopt the next set of building codes. And so we can do that by resolution as opposed to amending the zoning resolution. In other words, it's tougher to amend the zoning resolution than it is to pass a resolution to embrace the building codes. So as the new building codes change, we get resolutions from the Board of Commissioners, but we don't have to amend the zoning resolution.
It simply refers to an outside document
Yes.
that's approved by the Board of Commissioners, rather than going through the entire process of amending the zoning.
And I believe what David's looking for from this body is a recommendation to the county commission to amend the zoning ordinance to include those changes.
Okay, do you have any comments? Okay. Pleasure of the commission.
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
Okay.
Further, is there any more discussion?
I think we make a motion and then have a discussion.
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve what David has presented to us in our pack.
Page 10 and 39.
I think everything that's in red.
No, you just touch base on 10 and 39
And 48 to the
and 48.
There are a number of changes, but they are insignificant compared to the ones that I've been out.
Okay. What's in red?
What's in red? That's
Okay.
Right.
All right, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
I'll let you do the
Okay, okay, now, discussion. Yes, yes.
I just question, you said the fee schedule was the same as the state. What I noticed was it's double and triple state fees, depending on the amount the house would be. Can you explain that?
But use whatever the state uses. The state doubled or tripled it.
The state had, for monolithic pours, anything other than a monolithic pour was $100 addition. Your fee schedule there shows the addition to be in the thousands, hundreds of thousands. Correct? Did I read that right?
No, if you look at this fee schedule, you
You've
build,
seen the fee schedule.
I did.
you build a.
Also looked at the state fee schedule when the second column was strict $100 addition. This one has graded.
Did you bring it with you? Did you bring it with you?
No, I'm sorry, I did not.
David, did you get this document directly from the state?
This document is exactly, is copied exactly from the state.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. One other question I had is, are you going to be the building inspector?
No.
So that means who's going to be the building inspector?
Mr. Kaiwari is under contract with the county. He was the deputy state building inspector currently for Cannon County. Do the inspections for Cannon County permits.
And who's he paid?
He's paid by inspection by the county.
Already?
No,
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
this does not take place until the 16th of October.
Oh, so you're creating a new position for this building inspector? Is that-
No. It's a contract.
Ms. Jennings had a
He's still
question.
getting paid.
Ms. Jennings had a
Ms.
question.
Jennings, an actual commissioner. You know?
We want to debate, I think she had a question.
It's just
Ask
something
David later.
to kind of point out. Okay, the title of the document is Official Zoning and Building Codes Resolution of Cannon County. But the text, page 7, it references this ordinance. The building commissioner, the official hired by the county executive to, among other duties, monitor violations of this ordinance. I would recommend putting ordinance somewhere in the title of this document. It's on page 3. The title of the document on page 3 is zoning resolution and zoning ordinance of Cannon County. I don't know if that has to, I would recommend that it match what's on page 1.
That would be resolution.
The resolution, it's strange, and Tommy probably did with this because, in fact, what we were talking about, the grandfathering, that was your question, BZA, actually appears in the municipal ordinance section of the code.
Yeah.
But when I said the Supreme Court ruling case law actually brings that section of the municipal ordinance to application in the zoning resolution of a county. And there are aspects of the municipal zoning ordinance section of the state statutes that have been applied by case law to the county zoning resolution aspect of the statutes. So sometimes it can be confusing back and forth. So I think the reason this document is titled that is so that to alleviate that confusion in some way. Now, if the body wants to name it this, that, and the other, that would be fine. It just needs to be consistent throughout the document. And there are plenty of resolutions out there for counties and ordinances for cities that the courts apply those statutes accordingly, whether they're ordinances or resolutions. As long as it's consistent throughout the document, whatever the commission wants to do is fine.
Yeah, typically, counties don't pass ordinances, they pass resolutions. So, but I'm certainly not an expert when it comes to that. So,
But Tommy, to answer, this came up when we were doing the zoning, and we were advised that ordinances are municipalities, resolution are counties.
Typically,
So in other words, as
There
far
are-
as Carolyn's concerned, should these say resolution instead of ordinance within the body? Because instead of violations of this ordinance, instead of that, say violations of this resolution.
I think it should be consistent throughout the entire.
So ordinance, and that's what we were going on, was resolution was county. Ordinance was a municipality.
But there are exceptions to that
Sure.
due to case law.
So for us, what do you recommend? Just as long as we're consistent?
Just as long as you're consistent, and there may be a section of it, a lot of times in contracts or in deeds or in wills, you'll say, he means she and she means he. As long as the nomenclature is correct for that particular instance. So you could do the same here. You could say, if should refer to an ordinance, the terms can be used interchangeably. That would be a section of resolution. That's, it says ordinance and it meant resolution, then it's resolution. If it said resolution and ordinance, it's ordinance.
What's the difference technically between an ordinance and a resolution?
It's just an aspect of Tennessee Code annotated there are different titles for, there's a title for counties and there's a title for cities. And, you know, municipalities are referred to, they pass ordinances and counties pass resolutions, follow resolutions. But then case law has come along since then and said, well, this aspect of the municipal ordinance title also applies to counties and their resolutions. And this aspect of county resolution making enforcement also applies to municipal ordinances. So they kind of mixed, the case law has kind of mixed it up. And so a lot of counties kind of, in their resolutions and cities in their ordinances kind of cross-reference those in certain ways. But courts typically just, you know, feel, they're not going to get real hung up on a resolution or ordinance, but it needs to be consistent throughout the document. Some interchangeable language. If it says ordinance and amendment resolution and ordinance, I'm sure you've seen those in bills.
I just want to be as correct as possible.
Yeah.
And then my other concern, I don't know if this is something like we can do anything about or not, but the references to the Tennessee Code annotated, how often do the TCA code numbers change? Like in juvenile, they change all the time. Like, so what, like, okay, so the one I'm looking at, 54-1-128, will that always apply to the same thing, or do these shift? They should be.
Yeah, historically,
TCA of the-
yeah, historically, these don't change a whole bunch, these code sections. And when it comes to county zoning and municipal zoning. But if they do, we gotta change it. All the bodies across the state. If little ticky-tack things happen here and there, it may be, you know, you raise a good point, it may be better going forward, David and I can talk about this, that instead of saying one, you know, 14-1-128, A1B is 14-1-128 at set, you know, and follow, to at least give it the same section, even if aspects of that section, inside that section change. And I'm sorry, guys, but two lawyers talking to each other right now, so it's kind of weird.
You know,
But
the juvenile, every couple of years they change, like,
with the,
for juvenile, every couple of years they change, and sometimes dramatically.
yeah, and the criminal code was completely repealed this last time, redone. So all the section numbers have changed. So I get that. Or it could just be, you know, generally Tennessee Code annotated title of this chapter. We could make it a little bit looser. I like to have it a little bit tighter. Maybe just go to section and then say it's.
But somebody who has spent a good portion of her life following things like this, directing me to the code, you start getting loosey-goosey. I mean, that really was always the responsibility of the attorney general or the legal or whoever was your general counsel to keep these things updated.
Yeah.
So,
And it becomes a headache for me because I've got to follow that and
Mhm.
advise y'all, we got to change this. It would be a lot easier if we at least give you citation to the section, the title, chapter, section. Anything in that section. That would at least give you a, if you have a question, you can call them. Well, it used to be an A1C and now it's an
Any further questions, comments?
I have a comment, which I think is gonna be easier than these other ones. The resolution everywhere else refers to our county head as county executive, except in here where it says mayor.
Mayor and executive, I do know, are interchangeable terms in the state of Tennessee for the county. That's
They may.
And mayor would know.
Yeah.
You can use mayor and executive interchangeable when it comes to
I
county.
understand that, but shouldn't it be the same in our document?
One,
If I may, I would like to, have a discussion with Mr. Roberts. There is an error in the heading, not the numbers, fee schedule. which we need to fix. And I would recommend that we table this for the next meeting. There's no driving requirement to get this done because we've already qualified. We've met the state standard for assuming the permit process. We can pick it up on the 16th without this. Everything we've got in place is appropriate without this necessarily. This just brings it all together into a better package. So I would like to table it for a month. Let me try and reconcile the difference between ordinance and resolution and change the label.
we'll get that taken care of.
Okay, Patricia, are you okay to rescind your motion?
Yes, I'm fine.
You okay with that motion? Okay, we'll table this till next time. We'll move on to item number 6, discussion regarding the adoption of Kennesaw County residential rules. David, is this,
This is part and parcel to this zoning resolution. I referred to the same.
okay, we can pick that up later.
Yes.
Item
We will conduct the building permit process by those rules. If there's a challenge to it, we'll deal with the challenge.
7, discussion regarding meeting the planning commission's submission deadline.
Yeah, and I'll address this, Mr. Chairman. So, let's see, it would be Article 2, number B, or letter B, number 4, which requires that all subdivision plats be submitted at least 7 days before the planning commission meeting. After speaking with Jonathan and David, we think we would like a little more time than that. And what we would request is that it be amended to 14 days. Due to the fact that if something comes up and Mr. Fagan needs to schedule an executive session, 14 days gives us a chance to talk about it, get it in the paper, and get it on the agenda. And plus, it gives David and I a little more time just to review things. And that's the rationale for that. Now, that just can't be done right now. It has to have public comment, and it has to have 30 days notice. So what I would request is that we schedule a public hearing for our November meeting and potentially talk about amending subregs to move that date back from 7 days to 14 days.
Okay, comments from anybody?
The public hearing is required to do that.
30 days notice. And that is something that we can amend here in the planning commission. It does not have to go to the county commission
But you do have to have a public hearing in 30 days.
at this level, at the planning commission.
Any comments from anybody?
And it may be where we get public comment or we discuss and we don't need to do it, but I would at least like to discuss it in a public hearing.
And I'll just add, the reason I sought this is because that's kind of why you all had to have an executive session tonight rather than last time, because we got sprung on those two divisions right at the last minute. Coming back after a rezoning, which we didn't think was going to come back. It came back in, and sprung it on us. I didn't have time to give the executive session, so this would solve that issue.
Okay. If you would schedule David, schedule a public hearing on our next agenda then?
Yes, I will, 30 days, I'll get there. Why have to publish it every week?
No, just one time with
One
30-day
time.
notice. Yeah, subregs,
So
state law regulates the
It'll
process.
be in the next Tuesday's curriculum.
So that public hearing then will be November 28th. We won't make it for October.
Okay.
We won't make it for October. It'll be November 28th.
Okay, item number 8, other business is necessary.
Mr. Chairman, I have one. I think these folks in front have been waiting for a while to present a two-lot subdivision plat. Would please come up and present?
Okay, where y'all want me here?
No, if you would, sir, just bring me the subdivision plat. There we go. Give a little bit of background.
You have to see if you like or you can say it if you like.
Got you right here, Richard.
Oh, thank you.
Sir. So, what we have here is a Don Bruce development. This was presented, this has been paid for quite some time,
September, no, November.
November, almost a year.
November.
We've had this, and initially, the town of Woodbury said that they would not provide any new water taps for this area. Recently, they have had a change of heart and decided that they would put 2 water taps for these 2 lots. You had initially wanted, what, 6 or 7? 3. They said they wouldn't do 3, so they said that they would provide 2. And a couple days ago, Mr. Michael Moore, the surveyor, called and asked if we would consider it. And I said, I don't know. You can bring it under other business and see what the committee says, but I figured Mr. Bruce has been waiting a year for this. Fee has been paid.
Yeah, it has been paid.
All the signatures are there. If we want to consider it, I'm sure Mr. Bruce would appreciate it, but if not, that's the will of the commission.
Is there a blank lot in the middle?
It's an access street to the back part. It's larger than 5 acres.
No, everything has been,
I mean, it beats all of it.
everything's ready to go against requirements.
So why did the water department suddenly decide that they have available water when we're supposed to be at 95% capacity?
Well,
Mr. Bruce.
started out, I bought this property 2.5 years ago. Anyway, we immediately got the soil work done. We surveyed off 3 lots. And, they wouldn't sign the plan. They said, the first of the year, we will have a new water tower, call it, done and signed. Well, that was in 2022. So I've been calling every month since 2022. You got your tower finished? Oh. Got your, every month. Got your tower finished? No. So, but in the meantime, some people from California come along and they wanted to buy one of the pieces of 7.5 acres that I chunked one of the lots out of. So I put that back with this other bigger tract and sold it to these people from California. So now I've got pieces left up here. That was a 15-acre tract. We took 2 1-acre lots out of it and left 2 6.5-acre tracts or 1 13-acre tract.
So essentially, they completed upgrades to their infrastructure, and now they will give you water taps.
Well, I'm not sure they have completed it, you know,
But they signed the plat.
that's not the plan, but
The tank's been filled, so,
it is?
yes, sir.
Okay, so, all right, so they finally, completed.
Okay, is everybody okay with hearing this plat? And if so, I'll entertain a
What
motion.
are on your other lots that you sold? Are they home?
I haven't sold anything here in the Cannon County. I do work in 4 or 5 surrounding counties, Bedford, Coffee, Cal. So,
These are the only things you have to sell from what you have here in Kenton County.
yes, I have 2 lots, and then we're offering 2 6.5 acre lots, tracts.
Behind it,
Yes,
that's what this tax is.
yes.
Okay.
This one doesn't seem to, I'm concerned about precedent though, because we have refused to look at final plans if they're not properly submitted and, the agenda before, that's my only concern.
Does the county have official in writing from Shane Gannon or whoever? You're saying that, they are opening up taps, that their capacity is now increased to X.
Let's get it granted, maybe it's an
Mr. Patricia, I don't think they would do that. My time that I was on the city council, you kind of tying yourself into, this is what we'll do. They can go along like with this gentleman, adding 1 or 2 at a time, or 10. They will, I don't know for sure that they will commit to a number like they're wanting. I would.
James signed off on this on 9/25. Signed on.
I guess my question is, Chairman, if I may,
You may.
Tommy, this was removed from the agenda at some point?
It was paid,
November 2022 on the agenda, but was withdrawn because they couldn't get the signatures.
So this was signed by Shane Gannon yesterday. And this is on the agenda tonight.
it's not on the
Not on
agenda.
the agenda.
Not on the,
Because we have a rule in the subdivision regulations that's 7 days prior. Is that right?
That's what it says.
Okay.
So is that just a guideline, or what are we?
Well, you know, I mean, if you talk about setting precedent, we have always considered subdivision plats under other business if they hadn't got it in. Doesn't mean that we have to continue that, but that's a practice we've been doing since I've been here. Probably since you've been on the.
Yes,
Super.
just as a form of accommodation to people who met all the requirements. You know,
But we've turned other people away too.
I'm sorry.
We've turned other people away too, so just,
right.
What we were discussing a while ago, taking it from 7 days to 14 days, that would eliminate something like that. Have the possibility to eliminate something like this happening.
Yes. I would think.
I would think
well, the
so.
7 days you're already eliminated.
Yeah, that's what my question is. You've already got a regulation of 7 days. But again, we've said, and I've told this body that this body makes its own rules. And this body can suspend its own rules. But as I have said before, when this body suspends its own rules piecemeal, get in a legal issue of arbitrary and capricious. That's dangerous, so it just needs to be on record as to why you're doing it for any specific instance. That has to be a good reason. Does that make sense? It needs to be stated by somebody. With the discussion of by.
But he does have an option of bringing this up next month and having it on an agenda.
Absolutely.
Is that the recommendation of the commission? Do we need a motion for that, or just tell them that you could come back next month, put it on the agenda?
Make a motion that this be placed on the agenda.
You might put that in a motion.
Yes, sir.
Got a motion forward to put this on the agenda for next month. Second. Second, Ms.
Because I
Jennings.
do agree with Jonathan, the process, yes, we had, and I agree with what Tommy and you were saying too. Got us, and gals, we got a process.
Okay.
I kind of like to stick to it.
Okay.
With this going from 7 to 14, that should eliminate. And not, I think,
Okay, we have a motion,
always that
second,
one thing.
other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Mr. Bruce, if you get this on the agenda, we'll consider it next month.
That'll be up to us. We'll put it on the agenda. You've already paid the fee and properly submitted it.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you
for your.
Item 9, public comment.
I want to see if there's any other business. Sorry? I want to see if there's any other business.
Any other business besides what we just discussed?
Didn't do anything bad.
Mr. Bruce. Bruce. We need that.
Item number 10, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.